This girl's name is Yia. 21 years ago on her birthday, her parents gave her a music box. Then the car entered the Fox Mountain. Suddenly the street lights went out and a ghost suddenly appearing. Yia's father turned the steering wheel and as a result crashed into the fence next to the road. The car flew up and rotated 360 degrees and then fell hard to the ground. The head of the wooden horse in the music box also fell off. At this time, Yia was still conscious. Two people were slowly coming to bend down and look into the car. It turned out to be her parents, who were now trapped in the car. This made Yia screamed in fear. Then when Yia woke up, she saw her parents were still alive and she immediately hugged them. Luckily, this was just a nightmare. Is everything really that simple? Yia saw that the wooden horse on the music box had lost its head like in a dream. There were also bloodstains on shirt. Her parents were happily watching news of a fire on TV. Yia realized that this was not a dream. Yia smartly and calmly told her mother to get her walnut-flavored cookies. Then she took scissors and put them behind her back and told her mother, "I am allergic to hard nuts, so there are no walnut-flavored cookies in the house. And my mother is a doctor, and you is not my mother." As soon as the girl finished speaking, she stabbed this woman with scissors and ran into the room. She used a bookshelf to block the door. Her fake parents broke the door handle. The monster's claws stretched out and they wanted to get inside. At this time, there was suddenly a sound of fighting outside the door. Yia was scared and covered her eyes with her hand. But a moment later, a man holding the red umbrella appeared. It was the red-haired man. He used his yellow eyes to point at Yia and discovered that she was not his Yum. So he used a spell to erase her memories. This red-haired man's name is Leon, a 1,000-year-old nine-tailed fox. Legend has it that a 100-year-old fox can turn into a man or a woman, and a 1,000-year-old fox can be equal to a god. Its abilities can be compared to a magician. It can seeing things thousands of miles away. Leon always used this ability to find her first love, after reincarnating. After Yia had her memory erased in the blink of an eye, she immediately returned to the scene where the accident occurred. But her parents' bodies were not found. So after Yia grew up, she immediately became the producer of the Urban Legend Search Show, specializing in finding strange things that happened in the city to investigate her parents' whereabouts. She unexpectedly met Leon again like fate. People often say that the more beautiful a woman is, the more dangerous she is. Only saw this bride a second ago, and a beautiful woman, and a second later, it turned into a fox's claw. She wanted to kill the man in front of her, but the man was not afraid because he was a 1,000-year-old nine-tailed fox. Guessing this move, he quickly avoided it. He immediately transformed into a sword to destroy demons. It turned out that this girl was a fox that had eaten a lot of human liver. Leon naturally had to act on behalf of the heavens. The girl naturally couldn't fight the nine-tailed fox, so she had to beg Leon to spare her a life. She said, "Didn't you also love a human? You can understand my suffering, right?" Leon said that I could let you hold the wedding and then die. But fox spirits are very cunning. After the wedding ended, she turned around and took the opportunity to secretly attack Leon. As a result, he used a sword to hit her, causing her to hit the makeup mirror hard. The bones of the fox are deviated, only to see her twisting her body a few times. The neck bone was in the right position, then took the vase of flowers and threw it at Leon and ran away to the hall to hide behind her husband's back. Leon quickly chased after her and used the power of the fox to destroy everything, set of surveillance cameras. Then he flew up and beat everyone around him to the ground. One punch hit the husband of the fox's stomach and kicked her once, causing her to faint, causing the fox to extremely angry. She immediately flew up and rushed towards Leon, intending to bite him to death, but she was grabbed by Leon's hair and hit her head hard on the ground. Then he stabbed through her with the Demon Slayer sword. Waiting when she returned to her original form, her soul flew away. In the end, Leon used his yellow eyes to erase her husband's memories. At the same time, Yia was also attending a wedding in the next room. She had just left, then saw everyone in chaos, saying that the bride had run away with her lover. At this time, Leon came out. Yia was immediately stunned. There was a very familiar feeling. Yia walked into the ceremony hall, discovering that there was a blood stain on the bride's dress. There was also a handful of fox fur, so she took it to the veterinarian for testing. As soon as the veterinarian saw it, he knew that this was the fur of a firefox raised on the Baekdudagan mountain. Then Yia said that the foxes on Baekdudagan mountain all have GPS tracking. So far, none of them have come to the city. After hearing this, the veterinarian immediately called Leon. It turned out that this veterinarian was also a fox and was also Leon's subordinate. Leon was currently walking in a nearby park. A little girl's balloon was blown into the sky. Leon waved his hand and the ball flew back. This scene was accidentally seen by a little boy, so the boy immediately ran to ask if he was an alien. Leon saw that he was just a boy, so he said he was a nine-tailed fox. Then Leon went to the afterlife immigration office. This is the passage to the underworld of the dead. This place is called Samdo River. There are two people here. Here there are two managers, Taluipa, the god who rules the two realms of yin and yang, and Hyun Oyeong, the gatekeeper at Samdo River, is in charge of kicking the sins of the dead, and our Lee Yun is just a hired worker there. He used to be a mountain god Baekdudugagan, but he volunteered to give up his position as mountain god under the condition of Aom's reincarnation, so he signed a contract with Taluipa. He agreed to exterminate demons for the management department. Now Lee Yun has working for more than 600 years. He began to complain to Taluipa that I had to work hard every day but could not meet Aom's reincarnation. Taluipa immediately took out the contract and tried to burn the contract with the devil's fire to release Lee Yun. He immediately became silent and left. Ya, on this side, investigated the surveillance camera at the wedding hall. She discovered that Lee Yun was the one wearing the red umbrella, very suspicious. So Ya posted a photo on the news to search for Lee Yun. As a result, there was a witness. After seeing Lee Yun's photo, the other person immediately said, Lee Yun is an immortal Bulgasari. Ya heard that she thought he was lying, so she immediately left. Now he was talking about Fox Mountain. He said he had met Lee Yun there. Ya was surprised. Wasn't that where her parents disappeared? So Ya decided to find out. To the end, the witness went to the parking lot, blinked, and turned into a handsome guy. It turned out that he was Lee Yun's younger brother, named Lee Rong. He called Lee Yun, using news about Ahum's reincarnation to meet Lee Yun at the Fox Mountain. In the evening, Ya listened to Lee Rang's words and took bus. No 1002 alone. At this time she encountered a high school girl and a man. The beggar was drunk. As a result, just when Ya was about to get on the bus, the beggar hugged her leg tightly, determined not to let her get on the bus. At this time the bus left and Ya saw Lee Yun sitting on the bus. This beggar was really a scoundrel, deliberately fell and raised a fuss. Ya, he didn't let her get on the bus. It turned out that this bus was not for living people to ride. At this time, the bus was entering the Fox Mountain area. The car's lights suddenly went out. Lee Yun suddenly stood up and rushed to attack the high school girl. At that moment, the bus lost control and immediately crashed into the sidewalk. The passengers in the car all lost their lives. Ya still didn't know that she had escaped a life. She was carrying the beggar to take him home, but she felt the beggar getting heavier and heavier. She couldn't even hear his breathing. Ya started to feel scared. Could this beggar not be human? Finally arrived at the beggar's house, but in front was an old tree. The beggar jumped down and said to Ya, I've paid everything I owe you. This place made Ya extremely surprised. At this moment, a car came. Ya was about to say goodbye to the beggar, but as soon as she turned around, she couldn't see the beggar. The driver said, I only saw you. So Ya quickly got in the car, but the human face on the wooden pillar next to the ancient tree has a scar on the eye exactly like a beggar's. It turns out this is Jongsum. They are often placed at roadside village gates and temples as a guard in that area, and the main beggar is the earth god who guards this land. Ya on the way back encountered a bus that had an accident. She went up to look and couldn't see Lee Yun. Only this girl was still alive. So Ya quickly called the police. The girl was so scared that she stupidly looked up at the ceiling of the hospital room. Ya spoke up to comfort her and showed Lee Yun's photo to the girl. Unexpectedly, the girl got excited and said that he would definitely come and kill me. Ya walked out with doubts and saw Lee Yun. He came to erase the girl's memories but was stopped by Ya. Ya frankly asked if the person on the bus was killed by you. Ya originally intended to probe Lee Yun, but the other person didn't reveal anything. So Ya threw the backpack to Lee Yun so he could took her business card so they could be friends. But Lee Yun threw her backpack back and refused the second meet. In fact, what Ya wanted was Lee Yun's fingerprints. Then she asked a police friend to help her investigate. And Lee Yun also realized that Ya was the little girl he had saved for many years ago. At night, a strange pair of high heels appeared in the hospital room. This girl said she didn't want to be in the hospital, but wanted to be with Ya. After returning to Ya's house, she asked Ya where your family was. Ya said, don't worry, I live alone. At this time, the girl suddenly smiled sinisterly. At night, Ya woke up from thirst and suddenly saw the other girl standing next to her, made her startled and scared. The other girl said, I remember. At that time, the bus went into the tunnel and the lights went out. A man with an umbrella killed everyone. He wants to kill me. The more the girl talked, the more scared she became. Ya stood up and went to comfort her, but carelessly broke the glass of water. When Ya stood up, she held the shard and pointed it at this girl artery and said, I asked you again who you was. It turned out that Ya had investigated last night that this girl was sitting on the bus going in the opposite direction towards home. Moreover, Ya also discovered that when people encounter car accidents, they will try to protect their bodies. But this girl at that time was injured all over her body and did not show any signs of self-defense. At this time, this girl didn't pretend anymore and immediately revealed her true face. This person was Lee Yun's younger brother. It turned out that that night, Lee Rong had eaten the female student and then transformed into her appearance. He revealed one eye yellow, and killed all the passengers in the car. Lee Yun stopped him, so the two of them fought in the car and caused the car to have an accident. Yi was extremely surprised. She immediately used a glass shard to stab Li Rang's shoulder. He calmly smiled. "You thought this thing could hurt me?" Yi also calmly said, "Of course not. I was just using myself as bait." At that moment, the window suddenly broke. Li Yun suddenly appeared, so Yi knew that Li Yun will definitely come back. So before leaving, she left a note for him. The content of the note said that the thing you are looking for is at my house. This move of Yi was indeed an arrow that hit two targets, both investigating what happened on the bus and taking advantage of Li Yun to save her. The two brothers immediately rushed into a fight. Both of them were masters. Li Rang provoked his older brother and said, "You miss me?" Li Yun replied, "Remembering so much that I wanted to beat you to death." Then the two of them used their feet and used magic to move. The whole process was recorded. At this time, Li Yun hit back with a punch, flying Li Rang. In the end, Li Yun used the strength of both hands to throw Li Rang flying out. Li Rang couldn't fight back, so he left. Before leaving, he also said that if you still doesn't find your first love by the end of next month, she will die. We will meet again. At this time, Yi ran out to ask what Li Yun was, but as a result, Li Yun erased her memory. The next evening, when Li Yun returned home, he discovered a video of her fighting with his younger brother, and Yi appeared on the balcony holding the USB, sitting on the railing, leaning back and falling down. Li Yun sighed helplessly, but also jumped down to reveal his yellow fox eyes. He hugged Yi and fell down and flew past the full moon in the sky. They safely fell to the ground. Yi confirmed her guess. "You are indeed not human. I have been waiting for you." Then she injected anesthetic into Li Yun's neck. This man was too crazy. He was swallowing money. The woman threw the coin on the ground. It caused the man to instantly transform, only to see the man's eyes glowing, revealing yellow eyes and fiery skin. The man stared at the coin with hungry eyes. A second later, he immediately knelt down and frantically stuffed the coin into his mouth. It turned out that this man was a Bogsari monster. He lived by devouring legendary nightmares. Just eat the metal and it will reveal its original form. What is this all about? In fact, this Bungasari is just a chess piece, and the person behind it is Li Rang. He's suspecting that Yi is the reincarnation of Li Yun's first love, named Im. What kind of plot did he have after all? Let's start with Li Yun's first love. Li Yun used to be a mountain god. The first time he and met was in the mountains. After grew up, she gave Li Yun a red flower embroidered umbrella as a token of love for Li Yun. But this relationship ended in love. Aum's death, but because Li Yun wanted to continue his love affair with Aum, he gave her the fox gem, so Aum's reincarnation could be found, but did not expect that later, inside the body of people with faces similar to Aum do not have fox gems, and neither does Yi. At this time, after the flashback ends, Li Yun wakes up and sees Yi. A few minutes ago, Yi injected him a shot of anesthesia. She wanted to make a deal with Li Yun. Yi believes that he was the only person involved in the accident when she was young, so she wants to ask Li Yun to help find her parents' whereabouts. Otherwise, she will bring the video that the two cousins recorded fighting publicly online, which made it impossible for Li Yun to live in the human world. But after all, Li Yun was once a mountain god, so how could she be threatened by her? On the contrary, he even blinded a person. Yi's eyes. Yi was actually testing Li Yun's limits, so she took the USB containing the video and threw it in a teacup and said that she wouldn't reveal it to anyone. She hoped Li Yun would, according to the principle that being grateful must repay the fox's favor and help her find her parents. Li Yun finally agreed. After Yi returned, she opened the video her parents had recorded to reminisce, feeling like there was a relative nearby. But when she turned it off, her parents were holding something with black fur. This thing suddenly flew out of the TV screen and fell into the living room of Yi's house. Yi picked it up and saw that it was a skull with golden teeth. This made Yi wake up in fear, but this was definitely not an ordinary nightmare. The next day, Yi went to work at the company. Colleagues also had nightmares. Yi's assistant dreamed of the screenwriter wearing a black shirt crying bitterly. The screenwriter dreamed of losing teeth, but this was just a dream, so no one paid attention to it. At this time, Yi received news that Li Yun had found clues about her parents, so they made an appointment to meet at the Snail Bride restaurant. This is where foxes gather. Li Yun told Yi that her parents were not named in the birth and death book, which means her parents are still alive. Li Yun completed his mission, so he wanted to cut off contact with Yi and go their separate ways. At this time, Yi received a phone call. On the phone, she received news that the screenwriter's mother had passed away. It turned out that the nightmare had come true. After hearing this, Li Yun immediately guessed that this was because the devil was causing chaos. So he and Yi came up with a plan. Yi used the excuse of dropping the camera at the studio so the security guard could find it for her. After Yi going in, she immediately took out a handful of coins and threw them on the ground, causing the guard to show his true form. It was Bungasari at the beginning of the episode. It would eat nightmares and could also create nightmares. Bungasari was seen in his true form, so wanted to kill Yi. At this time, Li Yun appeared and beat Bungasari, making it vomit and then throwing it far away. Bungasari knew that he could not fight Li Yun, so he aimed at Yi. Li Yan immediately blocked in front of Yi. He even smirked and mocked Yi's expression of having never seen this before. At this time, Bungasari crawled up the wall. Li Yan kicked Bungasari down. Li Yan took out the sword of the demon. Bungasari immediately trembled and told Li Yan that it was Li Rang who told him to come. Unexpectedly, after saying these words, Bungasari was like a centipede, quickly crawling up the wall and quickly catching Yi. Li Yan shooting only 3 coins and hitting Bungasari's wrist, shoulder and arms saved Yi. But everything is not over yet. At this time, Yi's nightmare is gradually being realized. Oh my god, it is so scary. Some fishermen were fishing when they picked up a skull. Look, this skull's golden tooth is exactly like Yi's nightmare, and the victim was a man. After hearing the news, Yi immediately took action, and Li Yan found Li Rang through Bungasaran. He learned that Li Rang was preparing to attack Yi, so he went with Yi. The two went to the fisherman's island and stayed at the house of the victim's daughter, named Peng He. She lost her mother early, so her father was her only relative. This time, the boat was capsized by waves, causing her father to die at sea. Yi then found 2 fishermen who picked up the skull. They were friends of Peng He's father, named Seo Ki-chang, but they showed that they were not close to him. The strange thing was that other people here also avoided saying anything about Seo Ki-chang's death. Li Yan led Yi into the deep forest. They found a mysterious little girl. She was the soul of a tree. Li Yan wanted to learn about the strange story of Fisherman's Island from the little girl. She only knows that this island has changed because the storm brought many impossible things to the island. She wanted to leave, but was tied to a tree because it was bound by humans with a strong desire, so only humans could untie it. So Yi went in front of the tree, took out a knife and cut off the rope on the tree. The girl was finally free. At this moment, she saw that Yi had an affinity with this tree, so she told Yi to go to the north of the island to find the answer. Then she disappeared. On the north side of the island was a sand cave. Yi was surprised to discover that this sand cave was identical to the scene in her parents' photo. It turns out that Yi's mother was pregnant, or they used to go to the sand cave. But why did her parents come to this island? The next day, Li Yan brought ginseng to bribe the villagers, so he got an important clue. On this island, something happened. 4 headless cases where the victims were all women. Yi immediately asked her assistant to help her investigate the time of the headless case. Unexpectedly at this time, 3 fishermen who were close to Seo Ki-chang had something happen. The first person seemed to go crazy within 10 minutes of frantically drinking 20 bottles of water, but he was still thirsty, so he put his head in the toilet. Suddenly, he started struggling, as if a hand was grabbing him. Not long after, he had suffocated to death. The second person he saw, Seo Ki-chang's headless body in the house, was so scared that he kicked the door and rushed out. The third person he was in the house frantically ate pork alive and constantly complaining of hunger. Yi and Li Yan arrived at the crime scene of the first person. Li Yan discovered that he had a handful of hair in his hand. It was possible that he died due to suffocation by the hair, but this smell identical to the smell at Pyong Hee's house. Li Yan suspected that Seo Ki-chang might die one after another. The two immediately went to the second fisherman's house, forcing him to tell the truth about Seo Ki-chang's death. At that time, the 3 of them and Seo Ki-chang were driving a boat to go fishing because they were hit by waves, and after drifting for a few days, they were both hungry and thirsty. Seo Ki-chang at that time injured his leg and smelled. This smell of fresh blood stimulated the other 3, so they cut Seo Ki-chang's meat together to eat. Pyong Hee knew the truth of the incident but had no evidence. At this time, Li Rang appeared. He said that he would help Pyong Hee take revenge, but she must pay him one of her legs. Pyong Hee decisively agrees. Li Rang tells Pyong Hee to use a puppet to write the word death and paste pictures of the 3 of them on it to cast a spell. Used fresh blood to drip on their photos to cast a curse. At this time, the truth of the incident became clear. The fisherman also lost his life and choked to death with a handful of hair. Now there is only one person left. Li Yan and Yi rushed to his house, but he had run away. At this time, a painting of the Dragon King attracted Yi's attention. The first time she saw the painting of the Dragon King, she felt a bit creepy. She quickly searched online and discovered that the dragon in the original Dragon King painting had claws, while this painting did not. Li Yan said that this was not a dragon but a python. At the same time, Li Rang went to a seal's. This is the unclean thing that the tree spirit spoke of. Li Rang went to a sealed well. He asked the magician next to him if there was really that thing sleeping here. The magician said that yes, it was the hornless dragon god of virtue. It turned out to be the serpent. This was the unclean thing that the tree spirit had talked about. Li Rang told the female magician to go to the cemetery to find primroses growing on corpses to prepare for that evening. Yi was looking for the surviving fisherman when she received a phone call from her assistant. He had investigated the time of death of the 4 headless women. Ia searched online and found the time of death of these 4 people. They all died on July 15th, which is the day of the devil, and today is July 15th. At this time, the man finally appeared. As soon as he saw Ia, he was scared again. Ia turned around and ran, but tripped and fell. Ia was going to help him up, but he hit her on the shoulder with a hammer, preparing for the second one. Leon appeared in time. He grabbed the hammer and wanted to kill this guy. Ia quickly stopped this man to save his life. Leon helped Ia apply medicine to the wound. Ia suddenly felt that Leon's hand was very hot. Leon saw snake scales appear on Ia's shoulder. A second later, Ia seemed to turn into another person and raised her hand to strangle Leon. Leon coldly asked who you were after all. Ia smiled mysteriously. I was the person you was always waiting for, but why did you kill me? At this moment, Leon's memories suddenly came back. It turned out that it was Leon who killed Aum. Then Ia returned to normal. The snake scales and wounds disappeared. At this moment, Li Rang appeared, using the speed of light to take Ia away. Leon chased after him and told Ia to stand up immediately, leaving. On the way, she met a woman. She took out a photo of her parents and asked this woman if you had ever met them. Unexpectedly, this woman had met them. She said that Ia's parents, in order to give birth smoothly, they came here to ask the Dragon King. But Ia changed her attitude because her mother is a doctor, so she will not come here to ask the Buddha. So Ia immediately stood up to leave, but before she could take a few steps, she immediately fainted. It turned out that this woman was a magician. From the moment Ia entered, she burned incense to anesthetize Ia. At this moment, the magic shadow appeared. The monk in the mirror was an old woman, and Li Rang on this side suddenly raised his hand to stop the match. He told Li Yan that the delay was enough. That woman was about to become a sacrifice. It turned out that he was preparing to awaken the python, so he let Bungasari create nightmares. His purpose to lure Yi to the fisherman's island to become a sacrifice to awaken the python. At this time, Li Yan hurriedly chased after her, but Yi's scent had disappeared. Li Yan used her identity as a mountain god to call trees and rivers to take him. Him arrived at Yi's side. A second later, the forest shook and a large flock of fireflies appeared. Li Yan followed the fireflies quickly to the place of sacrifice. The scene changed to another scene. The magician was dragging Yi to war. At the well, Yi now knew that the deaths of the 4 headless women on the full moon day of the 7th month were due to the magicians using them as sacrifices for the python. At this time, Li Yan finally appeared, but was stopped by a barrier made of primroses. Li Yan from taking one step and was immediately burned by fire. Li Yan scolded the magician that she was nothing more than a living corpse who gave her such a long life. Now the magician did not want to wait another moment, so she immediately took the knife and stabbed it down hard. Yi used her hand to block it, so the knife cut her palm. Immediately afterwards, she was pushed into the well by the magician. In a dangerous moment, Yi clung tightly to the mouth of the well. This scene made Li Yan remember the scene when Aum died, so he turned anger into strength and turned out 9 fox-colored tails red, then created a heavy rain to wash away the barrier made of primrose flowers. Then Li Yan chanted the mountain god's spell to return to nothingness. Immediately, a large lightning strike killed the magician. Yi couldn't hold on anymore. Her hand was about to slip out of the mouth of the well. Fortunately, Li Yan arrived in time, but Yi's blood at the mouth of the well had flowed down the well's wall. Li Ram stood between 2 rows of stakes covered with white cloth, holding a newborn baby covered in shelter charms, and handed it to a strange man. Early the next morning, Yi and Li Yan discovered that all the people had disappeared, because the previous night all the people were as if possessed by evil spirits. They surrounded the well mouth. This is the scariest punishment in history. The man is in hell in front of him. There is an endless bridge. As soon as he steps on the bridge, he immediately hears the sound of knives flying into the air. Middle. Right after that, a sharp knife slashed the man's cheek. This was just an appetizer. Next, the knives flew like a swarm of bees, slashing the man's arms, abdomen, and legs. The further they went, the more knives. It's no exaggeration to say 1,000 cuts. The man cannot back down because he needs to overcome the mountain of knives to save the person he loves. This man is a 9-tailed fox, 1,000 years old. Because of the death of his first love, he gave up his position as a mountain god and also abandoned his younger brother. The person he loved is now in danger because his younger brother is taking revenge. After all, what happened to make the 2 brothers become like that? Li Rang took the sword and killed hundreds of people. It turned out that these people, after Li Yan gave up his position as mountain god, they burned the entire mountain. Li Rang because didn't have a brother to manage, so he killed the whole village, but was punished by his brother swinging sword. From that moment on, Li Rang turned into a cruel person. He joined forces with a fox to carry out his revenge plan. The beautiful fox Yuri from Russia. She was abused in a zoo and was snatched out by Li Rang. She stole someone else's life and became the CEO of a shopping mall. Li Yan has 2 very important people. One person is the person he loves. Yeah. Another is a subordinate who is a veterinarian named Shinju. Li Rang told Yuri to approach Shinju, then pulled down his necklace, making him fall in love her, then used Shinju to attack Leon at a necessary time in the future. Li Rang used Ya's blood on the wellmouth to sacrifice to the python. Then on the shore of the fisherman's island stood between the two, rows of bamboo poles hung with white cloth, along with a child covered in charms for a strange man. The next day, Leon and Ya discovered that the people on the island had all disappeared. Moreover, there are also rows of bamboo poles hanging from white cloth on the seashore. Ya said that this is the path to welcome the Dragon King. Leon looked at the position of the bamboo poles and said that this is the Demon Gate, the gate that allows unclean things to enter and exit. Combining the guesses of the two people, this is the python's rebirth path, and the people on the island are very likely to have become food for the python. So that strange man is the servant of the python, is named He Ryon, and is also the person who saved Li Rang that year when he was slashed almost to death by Li Yun. This man predicted the mysterious longevity technique and lived more than 600 years just to welcome the python revived. Li Yun was worried about the python's resurrection, so after returning, he went to see Li Rang. Only what Li Rang said was that Li Yun was just worried about the serpent that caused him and that woman to separate. But I can tell you that your woman in this life will eventually die. It seems that Li Rang resurrected the python to separate Li Yun and Ya, the two people with murderous intent standing above in rooftop. Li Rang pulled out a knife and said, "The only way to stop me was to kill me." Just like that year, he killed me with a sword for the villagers. This time, Leon did not hesitate to take the knife, stabbing straight down. Li Rang bent down and saw that the hilt of the knife stabbed into him and immediately became angry. "Why couldn't you do it?" Leon said. "Don't be like an abandoned child. You're no longer a child now." After speaking, he immediately left. Li Rang couldn't anger Leon, so he felt a little unhappy. He prepared to continue attacking Ya, and Ya was here to repay the favor of saving her life, so she invited Leon to her house to eat. Leon gave Ya a bunch of wormwood. After eating, Ya had to attend the funeral of the screenwriter's mother. Leon was worried that Ya would be infected with things was not clean, so he made Ya a cloth bag containing red beans to protect her. In fact, because Leon killed a magician whose name was not in the Book of Life and Death, he had to suffer Tailupa's punishment in hell. He reluctantly had to use this method to protect her. As a result, at the funeral, Ya met Li Rang. He said that she was the reincarnation of Li Yun's first love, so obviously, Li Yun knew this would end, but still killed the magician. These words made Ya start to worry and immediately asked where Li Yun was. Li Rang reminded her, "If you wanted to live, don't sleep tonight." Then he used magic to make the red beans in the bag fall out. At this moment, a group of children suddenly appeared next to Ya. She had never seen this happen. On the surveillance camera, there was a group of children are playing, but in reality, there is no one, but only a woman standing there. She walked into the hallway when suddenly all the lights turned off. A cherry slowly rolled to her feet. Then a pair of sisters suddenly appeared in front of Ya. They asked Ya if she had seen our father. Ya was now reassured. It turned out to be just two lost children. At this time, she discovered that the two children were wearing the wrong shoes. It turned out that these two little girls were dead. At this time, her assistant called her to tell her to go home and rest first. But as soon as she turned around, the other two sisters had disappeared, but everything wasn't over yet. When Ya was about to go home, she suddenly felt a tightening around her neck. Tight. It was the other two sisters who pulled the two ends of the scarf and started running around Ya until Ya couldn't breathe and fell to the ground. Fortunately, the assistant saw her and took her home. But at this time, Leon is in the snowy mountains in hell with his hands tied by chains. He uses a normal person's body to endure punishment for a week. But in reality, this week is equal to 7 years in hell. Leon feels received that the bag of red beans protecting Ya had been lost. So he told Tailupa that he wanted to go through the mountain of knives, because only then could he immediately return to the human world to save Yi. At this time, Ya woke up. She told the assistant about the strange pair of children. The assistant said that only demons, when pretending to be humans, do the opposite actions compared to humans, such as wearing shoes upside down. To prove this, the assistant took out a book and investigated the previous place where the funeral was held, was the place where the children were buried. But Ya discovered that the assistant was holding the book upside down. As soon as finished speaking, the lights in the house began to flicker. The assistant also disappeared. A second later, the pair of children hugged Ya's legs and kept saying, "Give me your body, I want this body." This made Ya run away in fear. She ran into a building and immediately locked the door. Didn't expect something even more bizarre to happen here. Outside the door suddenly appeared many children banging their hands on the door at the same time, and the number of hands was increasing. Yia could only cover her ears, not knowing how long it would take for the pounding sound to disappear. But unexpectedly, when she turned around, the other pair of sisters were in front of her. Yia was scared and quickly ran to the rooftop. When Yia turned around, all the children who had been buried here gathered. At the same time, Leon was seriously injured by a rain of knives. He was also fatally stabbed, so he lay unconscious on the bridge. But in his subconscious there were images of Yia, so he trying to wake up, because compared to the pain caused by the sword, Yia's death would make it even more painful. Leon continues to crawl little by little. Yia is now forced to the edge of the yard. She couldn't bear it anymore, so she fell back. Just when she was about to land, Leon appeared in time to save Yia. After that, he fell into a coma. Yia hugged Leon. Her heart was extremely painful, begging Leon not to die. At this moment, a tear fell from her eyes. A second later, a protective barrier appeared behind Yia. Leon finally woke up. He saw the fox jade emits yellow light. Finally, he found his first love. The next day, Shinju learned that Leon was injured and rushed to the house. He see Leon's body bandaged by Yia. His whole body was extremely heartbroken. At this moment, Yia woke up and saw Shinju. She immediately guessed that he was also a fox. Everything was temporarily over. Yia remembered the scene the night before, so she asked Leon about clung to Leon all day to learn archery, but the purpose was to kill her father. It turned out was a princess, but her father did not know when he was possessed by a demon, causing the whole country to suffer from a cholera epidemic. So she wanted to learn archery for the sake of destroying her father, and that demon was the python Imuji. Leon did not know that Imuji was quickly growing up to prepare for his return. This child was so terrible, with snake scales on his face, that scared the woman. She bent down to look and saw the child in her hand also have. She trembled and asked if this was an infectious disease. The child stared at her with cruel eyes, then held her hand tightly. Only seeing her arm blink, one had turned into dry dew. After the woman's pitiful screams, she was eaten clean by a child. It turned out that this child was the python Imuji, for in order to grow up quickly, it sent servants under the pretext of hiring nannies to eat human flesh. But Li Rang, who helped revive the python, had the kindness to save an abused dog. This dog had a disabled right leg and was being beaten by 3 players. The baseball player turned into a machine to practice throwing the ball. When he was about to throw the second ball, Li Rang appeared, grabbed the opponent's hand, and bent it behind him, causing him to cry out in pain. The other 2 guys saw this and picked up a baseball bat. As a result, Yuri was beaten by a hairpin repeatedly, but it wasn't over yet. Li Rang pulled out a deck of cards. This is a lucky or punishment card. The guy in the middle draws a talent dedication card, which is a lucky card. The 3 of them immediately breathed a sigh of relief, but they didn't expect Li Rang to tell them that it was a tribute to talent that was cutting off the 3 people's hands so they couldn't play the ball anymore. This was a tribute to talent. These 3 people started crying and begging, but why did Li Rang have to do that? It turns out that year when people burned the mountain, it also injured the dog that Leon gave him. At that time, when the little dog was dying, Li Rang didn't want it to live a miserable life, so he strangled it. Now, although Li Rang saved the dog, he did not want to raise it, but Yuri and the little dog were both victims of human abuse, so she had some sympathy for it, so she gave it to Shinju to treat, then returned the necklace that could talk to animals to him. The scene moved to Leon. During the funeral, Leon found it the culprit who killed the pair of children was their uncle. In addition, this uncle, after drinking alcohol, became animalistic, so he harassed 2 girls. The 2 girls ran out to the balcony, even though they died did not give in. As a result, the uncle pushed they down. At this time, the truth was revealed. The father of the 2 girls almost died of anger, and that cherry was the precious gift that their father gave them before the 2 little girls died. Now, the 2 little girls had untied the knot in their hearts and hugged their father tightly. Then they went to the afterlife immigration office to prepare for reincarnation. The 2 people reconciled their resentment and immediately went to the restaurant to drink and discuss their dreams. Li Yan said that I want to become a human being. Because my first love was a human, I don't want after she goes through a human life and dies that I'm still alive. Yi-Ah's dream was very simple, which was to live with her parents. Early the next morning, Li Yan brought Yi-Ah's parents' photo to Tailupa. He hoped she can use her eyes to find their whereabouts. Tailupa said that I can't see them with my eyes, which means her parents are neither in Yin world nor in the human world. Maybe you should go ask the person who took her parents away. So Li Yan hold the photo to find the earth god in Fox Mountain. After being beaten by Li Yan, the local god said that the governor knew the whereabouts of Yi-Ah's parents. The governor was the local administrator in the Joseon dynasty, and at this time, Yi-Ah was in the company lobby, welcomes her uncle back, and he is In Mugi's servant, named Hei Ryong. It seems that he recruited Yi-Ah into the company because of the python. The boss knew that the rating of the program of talking about strange things in the city city was very high. So, he let the head of the department, Choi, take the staff of the group to celebrate at the restaurant. At that moment, Lee Yun came to the restaurant and pulled Yi-ah away in front of everyone. The Earth God on this side had just seen off the older brother Lee Yun, and the younger brother Lee Rang came. Lee Rang brought the Earth God to the edge of the rooftop and asked about the Tiger Eyebrows' whereabouts. It seemed like Lee Rang was about to start a riot again. Lee Yun takes Yi-ah to a scenic spot with ancient architecture. Here everyone wears hanbok. Lee Yun told Yi-ah to stand there and wait for him and said there was something to do. Yi-ah was attracted by a hanbok pink. When Lee Yun turned around, he couldn't see Yi-ah. At that moment, Lee Yun saw Yi-ah wearing a hanbok with an ancient hairstyle and walking to a small bridge. Lee Yun lifted the colorful silk cloth. He saw Yi-ah's appearance very similar to Ah-om. Lee Yun immediately remembered the time he broke up with Ah-om, so he kissed Yi-ah. You certainly wouldn't guess that these two talented men are both is a god. The one wearing a vest is a nine-tailed fox that is 1,000 years old. The one wearing a hanbok is an Arctic black bear. The two draw their swords to duel each other. Lee Yun opens with a throwing sword. The governor opens a gift out to block the sword and was immediately attacked by Lee Yun. The two people confronted each other again. The governor was a bit weak, so Lee Yun immediately changed his position to attack. The two people dropped their weapons and rushed to fight with their bare hands. Lee Yun threw the governor away and picked up his sword. The governor picked up the yin and yang mirror, causing the sword to strike back straight towards Yi-ah. Luckily, Lee Yun promptly stopped it. But why were these two gods fighting? The governor is also a mountain god, like Lee Yun. He knows the truth about Yi-ah's parents' disappearance, living in an ancient architectural landscape. Unless he actively shows himself, Lee Yun cannot find him. Lee Yun and Yi-ah went to the fortune teller. This man took a photo of each of them and said that Yi-ah was a princess in her past life. This made Lee Yun believe a little. The fortune teller glanced at the phone and said that in past life was Lee Yun is a traitor. Lee Yun's face immediately darkened. It turned out this man relied on an app on his phone to cheat. But when the two of them were about to leave, this man said that they still shouldn't together if they don't want one of them to die. After the two of them go out, they feel a little uncomfortable by the fortune teller's words. Suddenly an arrow of news flies in. It's an appointment letter meeting of the governor. Unexpectedly, when the two people arrived, the governor ordered subordinates to surround them. This is to close the door to fight the fox. Lee Yun told Yi-ah to stand next to him and wait, and said to give me 5 minutes. Only saw 20 soldiers immediately rushing to attack. Lee Yun turned around to avoid their attack. He turned around and used his bare hands to knock down the 75-kilogram man. These soldiers saw that they had no chance of winning, so they turned their attack on Yi-ah to distract Lee Yun's attention. Lee Yun saw this and waved his hand, causing the spear to fly high, then used his foot to kick the spear straight into the soldier's head, but the governor was able to catch it. He turned around to warn his subordinates not to harm innocent people. Then he brought Yi-ah to the stands so Lee Yun could focus on the fight. It was over in less than 30 seconds match, but everything was not over yet. The governor went down to duel with Lee Yun. The result was that he almost accidentally used the yin and yang glass to kill Yi-ah. It turned out that this was the magic weapon that the mountain god used to protect all things. Lee Yun's magic weapon is the fox jade. Then the two people fought with their bare hands, and finally, Lee Yun won. In fact, these two people are close friends and have to fight every time they meet a battle. At this time, the two people explained clearly what they had come to find the governor. He also told the truth of the incident. Before this happened, there was a man and wearing a blue vest whose face could not be seen clearly, came to find him and said that on March 3rd something would happen to Fox Mountain. This person wanted to borrow my soldiers to do something, but I frankly refused. Now I can only vaguely remember the man's forehead had 2 words, Western scriptures tattooed. This is an ancient type of ink which is the punishment for engraving the crime on the criminal. Based on this punishment, Yi-ah judged that the man lived before the Joseon dynasty. The governor's next words made Yi-ah even more surprised. The target of that car accident was actually her. The governor took advantage of Yi-ah's daze to talk privately with Lee Yun. Hey, don't was near her. The other man said that she had the king's scales on her body and also had the king's bad luck. Lee Yun began to feel uneasy. At this time, Lee Rang called to see Lee Yun. Just in time, Lee Yun had a plan to meet the mysterious man. He dipped a brush in water, wrote a word on the toe of his shoe and chanted a spell, looking for the person with the criminal tattoo on forehead, then went to see Lee Rang. In addition, a few minutes ago, Lee Rang used money to buy back tiger eyebrows, which were glasses made from tiger eyebrows. The fortune teller told him to take out the most important thing to exchange. That's why he found Lee Yun. The fortune teller took off his glasses to reveal a pair of white tiger eyes. This person used a magnifying glass to check if Lee Yun was Lee Rang's most important person or not. Then then brought glasses made of tiger eyebrows to Li Rang. After Li Rang went out, he discovered that he couldn't find his shoes, so he had to wear Li Yan's shoes. At this time, Li Yan was about to chase, but was held back by the fortune teller with a stick, then put in a bag that could hold everything. Now that Li Rang is gone, Ia is wondering whether to choose to save Li Yan or chase after Li Rang. Oh my god, what is going on? One second this woman was still having a nightmare. The next second she went to a room. The place was plastered with charms. A boy stood in front of Ia. At this time the boy turned around to say hello. Ia woke up in fear, and at this moment, snake scales suddenly appeared on Ia's neck. It turned out that Ia no longer had the jade fox, but this boy was Python. But in the end, why was the jade fox no longer available? It turned out that Ia decided to save Li Yan, so she gave the music box her parents gave her to exchange with the fortune teller. But he asked to increase the price because he saw that she had something more precious on her. There was no other way. Ia just wanted to save Li Yan, so she handed over the jade fox. Then, there was another line on Ia's hand, and at the same time, Inmugi also immediately felt it. So when Ia returned home and was dreaming, snake scales were quietly awakened on her body. As soon as Li Yan was released, he immediately went to find Tailupa and said that Imugi was not dead yet. Ia's fate should not be like that. Tailupa said that if the fox jade on Ia's body is no longer there, snake scales will appear on her body. This is all Ia's fate. It seems that Tailupa already knows that Ia is reincarnated of Aum, so she will also have the same fate. This makes Li Yan extremely angry. All the glasses shattered and rushed straight to Tailupa. But Tailupa is the younger sister of the King of Hell with endless power, so she was immediately able to control the glass shards to stop. At this time, Hyun Oyeong came in to stop the fight between the two people. He advised Li Yan that I once told you not to get involved in this matter. Otherwise, he and Ia will definitely have one person die. But Li Yan will not give up protecting Ia. The scene switches to Li Rang. He goes to Ia's boss's house. It turns out this person was the mysterious man. He asked Li Rang why he was here. Li Rang was stunned for a moment before realizing that he had fallen into Li Yan's trap. The lettering on the shoe also immediately disappeared. Li Rang was trapped, so he was not happy in his heart. So he went to the bar to drink. Then he remembered his mother. Li Rang's mother was also human, but she was ashamed of giving birth to a monster like Li Rang. When he was young, Li Rang's mother used an excuse to pick fruit and told Li Rang waiting by the rock, but unexpectedly, he encountered a hungry ghost. Only then did he realize that his mother had abandoned him. Li Rang went out from the pub and was pushed aside by a child. So he avoided the oncoming motorbike and even raised his finger to show praise with an innocent and stupid look. Li Rang hated this appearance so much that he immediately turned to leave. But unexpectedly his glasses fell. That stupid boy picked it up. Li Yan, on this side, played the role of bodyguard, always by Yia's side. Even when Yia went to sleep, he wanted to sleep with her. Both of them had feelings for each other. When he can't sleep, Yia taught Li Yan that if she can't sleep, she will think about happy things. For example, Yia likes the smell of just cooked rice and the new pair of sneakers she bought, said Yia as she fell asleep. The next day Li Yan went to work with Yia, and at the same time ordered Shinju to follow Li Rang to find that mysterious man, because Li Yan knew that he was related to Inmugi, and Inmugi was related to Li Rang, and Inmugi was now breaking the reincarnation trumpet. The screams that tore through the atmosphere echoed throughout the villa. Immediately after, a woman pushed the door and ran out. At that moment, a hand pulled the woman back. It was Inmugi. His cold face used one hand to pull the woman. It was a struggle before dying, but the fake fingernail fell off and had no effect. The woman was still eaten. In the blink of an eye, she turned into a skeleton. After Inmugi finished eating, he finally completed his evolution and turned into a handsome guy. Li Rang, the culprit who revived the python, was looking for his lost glasses. Shinju was still following him. Suddenly discovered that Yuri was Li Rang's accomplice. Yuri told Li Rang that the glasses were in the hands of a boy. At this time, the boy was wearing glasses and smiled foolishly, observing everyone. Li Rang did not immediately go looking for the boy, but instead turned to attack Shinju, who was following him. Li Rang took Shinju to the parking lot to beat him. Then he sent Shinju's photo to Li Yon. He asked to meet Li Yon alone. As soon as Li Yon left, Yia and her colleagues met the boy on the street. They only saw the boy take off his glasses and then put them back on. The boy saw that the screenwriter's previous life was a courtesan. The assistant is a eunuch. It turns out that this glass made of tiger eyebrows can see people's past lives. When the boy saw Yia, he immediately cried and left only one sentence. Her face was so scary, then she ran away. We were watching these two brothers who both love and hate each other. Li Yan went to the parking lot and asked Li Rang, "There are so many ways to harm me. Why do you always using that person?" Li Rang excitedly said, "I want to know what will happen if the past repeats itself." But Li Yan said, "Did they catch your weakness?" Li Rang changed his face. It seemed like guessed correctly. Li Rang is a fox who probably owed people a favor, so he signed a pact to repay the debt and abet evil. But looking at Li Rang's expression, it wasn't like he was forced, he very happy. But this time, Li Rang looked for Li Yun just to know if the person who was beaten today was him, whether Li Yun would come to save him or not. As a result, Li Yun deliberately told him to save himself. So Li Rang also deliberately said, if that woman knew the story of previous life, would she still be next to you? This time he has reached Li Yun's limit. He warned Li Rang, if you dare to touch her, this time you will really die in my hands. At this time, Yu recalled phoned Li Rang that she knew the boy's location. The two brothers parted in an unhappy atmosphere. Li Rang hurriedly went to the boy and successfully took the glasses, but he accidentally saw that in past life this boy was his little dog. Memories immediately came back. Li Rang felt bitter in his heart. He took the boy out to eat to make up for the great loss in his heart. At night, Yi and her colleagues went to Haeryong's villa to eat. Manager Choi saw the lantern tree, so he told Yi, I remember that the fruit of this tree is used to attract snakes. Was just about to raise hand to touch it, but luckily Haeryong stopped in time. Haeryong said that I had to follow 2 rules at my place. First, don't touch it. Second, don't go to the 2nd floor. They eat outside. After eating in the garden for a while, Yi returned to the villa to go to the bathroom. Just as was leaving, she suddenly heard the sound of slippers and a knock on the door upstairs. It turned out Inmuji used a dead body's hand to knock on the door to lure Yi. Went up. As expected, Yi followed the noise to the 2nd floor, but suddenly she realized that it was a bit impolite. Just as she was walking down, she stepped on something. Yi picked it up and looked at it, and it was fake nails. And at that moment the knock on the door rang out again. Yi walked to the door. Inmuji stood behind the door and whispered, come in quickly. Yi seemed to be fascinated and raised her hand to hold the door handle. Suddenly, Li Yun called to tell Yi to meet her at home later. At this time, Haeryong appeared to take Yi back to the dining table. Li Yun, after taking Shinju home, he ran to Yi's house and decided to do what Yi likes. First is cooking rice. The second thing was new sneakers, so he went out to buy shoes. While choosing shoes, Li Ran called Li Yun and said, I gave Yi a gift which is glasses made of tiger eyebrows. This made Li Yun rush back. At this time, Yi had just returned home when she received a parcel containing glasses outside the door. Yi curiously put on glasses and stood in front of the mirror. The result was 1 second after Yi saw in the mirror the figure of wearing a handbook and the scene of Li Yun killing At this time, Li Yun had just returned. Yi cried and said, it turned out that in order to catch the python, you turned me into a sacrifice and abandoned me. She saw her past life as a princess, but her father was a monster because he had snake scales on his face and hands. It turns out that he was robbed of his body by Inmugi. In her previous life, Yi's name was She held a bow and arrow and shot at Inmugi, but shot off the throne. She threatened Inmugi to leave her father's body. It turns out that had just been born, was destined to be Inmugi's sacrifice. In order to save her, her father gave his body to Inmugi, but when people are possessed by demons, they will not be able to live for 3 days. Inmugi said that the only way to save her father was to bring the mountain god. How will choose? You definitely wouldn't have guessed that would agree to Inmugi's request. Could it be that she doesn't love Li Yun? Of course, this is absolutely impossible, but said that the mountain god cannot go down from the mountain. She told Inmugi to enter her to find Li Yun, because believes Li Yun could definitely kill Inmugi. But unexpectedly, Li Yun turned 360 degrees. He said to Inmugi that, did you think that using as bait, I would take the bait? Haven't you ever thought that I would use her as a bait to lure you? Inmugi was extremely surprised and immediately pulled out his sword to attack Li Yun. But he was not the mountain god's opponent. He quickly turned into a pitiful look. He cunningly pretended to be appearance to beg for his life, but was killed by Li Yun with his claws. was also killed. When Yi learned the truth, she was extremely heartbroken. At this time Li Yun had just returned. She blamed Li Yun for achieving her goal without using tricks. Li Yun frankly admitted, because he remembered what Hin Ouyang said, he and Yi were only one person to live. If he must die, then Li Yun hopes that he is the one who dies. Short pain is better than long pain, so he using this method to force Yi to leave him. Then Li Yun went to the Snail Bridal restaurant. Li Rang immediately went to see his brother's good drama, but Li Yun wanted to play chess with his younger brother. Before, when Li Yun was still a mountain god, he deliberately let Li Rang win just to comfort. His younger brother was happy, because before that, Li Rang was abandoned by his mother. He was chased by a crazy hungry demon. That demon was the person who died of hunger. Li Rang was extremely scared and took a stone to hit the hungry demon. He ran away to an old tree, but a second later, a hungry demon crawled down from the tree preparing to eat Li Rang. At the dangerous moment, a sword rushed in to send the demon to hell. The person who came was Li Yun. He threw the remaining hungry demon into a tree branch, then took the sword and walked in front of Li Rang, his younger half-brother. Li Yun used mocking eyes to think that Li Rang was not having the will to survive. Li Yun told Li Rang that, if you cannot save yourself, no one can. This statement awakened Li Rang, so he followed Li Yun. And Li Yun, knowing that Li Rang was afraid of being abandoned, he treated his younger brother well. Li Rang thought of these things, so he went to Yia's boss's house to look for Inmugi. But Li Rang saw him having a heart attack. He picked up a lantern fruit and then breathed it into his body to return to normal. It turned out that this black feather fruit was a human soul. It is used to sustain human life and at the same time take the memory of the soul. At this time, Inmugi appeared. He just looked and knew that Li Rang was abandoned by Li Yun. Li Rang asked to kill Yia, but Inmugi wanted Yia to be his bride. The scene moves to Yia. She can only use her work to relieve the sadness of breaking up. When she sees the screenwriter and assistant, she suddenly remembers that in past life, these two people were palace maids and eunuchs of her. She also thought of using the topic of her past life to talk about strange things in the city on the show. Then she went to a mental hospital, then found a doctor who was her mother's friend to get a number of relevant documents, but unexpectedly learned that her mother had also come to ask about her past life, and even brought the 9-year-old Yia to hypnotherapy. But Yia had no impression of any of this, so the doctor, giving her a disc recording the hypnosis process, Yia returned to the company, and he opened it but saw an extremely scary scene. This girl was extremely strange. She stared at the picture in the wall behind the woman, read the note posted on the wall correctly. This is not a video call, but a view that was recorded a long time ago. And what is more terrifying is that the little girl is the woman when she was a child. It turns out that this video recorded Yia at the age of 9 being hypnotized. After being hypnotized, Yia became extremely cute as if she had turned into another person. She remembered the scene where she killed someone with a very satisfied expression. The doctor quickly woke up Yia but was scared. This state was in Mugi. Little Yia stared at Big Yia and said, "I was born in a cave on a leap month. Leap year is the grave of those who died of the plague." Inmugi was born there and said he would definitely find Li Yun to duel. Then suddenly read the words behind Yia's back, threatening Yia to hurry up and turn off the computer. Yia went out to calm down and then met an aunt in a blue shirt. This woman forced Yia to take the bottle of vegetable juice. Just as she was leaving, she told Yia that what you're most afraid of is the Fox Mountain, right? Then a strange song rang out. This aunt pushed the door to leave. Yia also pushed the door to chase. A second later, "She were back when you were a child" is the scene before the car accident, and also received the music box. A few minutes ago, that lady even went to Li Rang. After giving him the bottle of juice, the strange song played again, but it was in the cabinet. Li Rang opened the cupboard and immediately returned to when he was a child. This was the house where he used to live with his mother. Suddenly, a resident hit Li Rang from behind. When turned around, everyone was screaming, cursed at him. "You have eaten the liver of cattle. You made it impossible for them to live. You are a monster." And Li Rang's mother was in the house just indifferently watching her son being beaten. Li Rang went into the house, then his mother cruelly chased him away. Suddenly, Li Rang felt a slight pain in the back of his head. He raised his hand and then touched it and saw fresh blood. It seemed it was not a dream, but the scene changed to the Hungry Ghost Mountain. The woman in the blue shirt appeared again, and she told Li Rang, if he died here, he would really die. In addition, the woman in the blue shirt was a dark monster that specialized in eating the fear deep inside each person. Her forte is to create scary scenes. Then she came to Li Yun and said that there are 2 doors here. One is your younger brother, and the other is your first love. Who do you choose to save? Li Yun immediately guessed that this aunt was the assistant that Inmugi was looking for. Yia over here heard her mother talk about hypnosis. It turns out her mother had long suspected that Yia had a problem, but Yia didn't have time to think. She tried to tell her father to stop the car, but her father and mother did not hear. In the end, an accident still happened. At this time, Inmugi and the blue-shirted lady appeared. These 2 people were extremely surprised when Li Yun chose to save Li Rang. Li Rang and Li Yun, on this side, were surrounded by a group of hungry ghosts. The 2 of them, one holding a sword and the other holding an axe, rushed in and slashed to death the surrounding hungry ghosts, only to see Li Rang kneel down on one knee. Li Yun stepped on his back, jumped high, then held his sword and slashed down to kill a hungry demon. Even though the 2 of them fought fiercely like tigers, they still couldn't fight off the crowded hungry demons that were coming. So the 2 of them quickly ran away because they couldn't use magic here. The 2 of them lured the hungry demons to a place where there was a tree blocking the way, but still one fell through the net and bit Li Rang's leg. Li Yun immediately cut him to death. After that, they went into a cave and were temporarily safe. Li Yun's injuries. Li Rang is infected, so he has a fever fever. Within an hour, Li Rang will have poison seeped into his whole body. At this time, the Red Devils have chased to the place. Leon must quickly take his younger brother out. At the same time, Iya woke up and saw her mother. Iya suspected that this was a fox impersonating her, so she said she wanted to eat walnut cake and quietly picked up a paper cutter, only to see her mother pinch her nose and scold her. The child was allergic to nuts, even wanted to eat cake. Iya immediately burst into tears. She finally got to see her mother, and Li Rang on this side, because his leg hurt so much, he chose to give up and not go anymore. This is the beginning of death, because once feel pain, the door back to reality will slowly disappear. At this time, Li Rang asked Leon, "Why did you save the person you wanted to kill?" Leon frankly said that his sword has never spared anyone. In addition, that year when Leon used his sword to slash Li Rang, "I avoided letting you die." Li Rang knew the truth and immediately regained the will to stand up. According to Leon, the two brothers finally got along, as well as at the beginning. At this time, hungry ghosts chased and forced the two brothers to the brink. Leon told Li Rang to remember the most terrible thing. Li Rang said that once a mother, once a brother. Leon firmly told Li Rang, "I have never abandoned you." Li Rang tried to remember the most terrible thing. On the opposite cliff, there really was a door. These two men are so pathetic. In front is a high cliff, and behind is the hungry ghost chasing after them. Their only way to live is the door on the opposite cliff. Leon and Li Rang ran to gain momentum from afar, only to see Li Rang jump out. Only saw Li Rang jump out of the abyss and fall down the opposite rock line. Leon stayed alone to hold back those demons to buy time for Li Rang. One of the demons jumped to the other side and hugged Li Rang's leg tightly, but this person did not, was none other than Li Rang's mother. Leon pushed down the hungry ghosts and then jumped to the other side of the cliff to hug Li Rang's mother. They jumped down together. Li Rang suffered in despair, but his soul finally returned and woke up in reality. All of Li Rang's injuries were shown on his body in reality, so he fainted. Yuri begged Shinju to definitely save Li Rang's life, but Shinju on this side knelt down to ask Tailupa. He was willing to pay any price to save Leon and Yi, and he got the life rope. This time, Shinju asks Hunoyom why Leon didn't save Yi, because Leon knew that after Yi met her parents, no one else could enter her world. Shinju returned to the hospital, carried Yi out, and placed her next to Leon, then forced the life rope was on their hands. At this time, Yi was living happily with her parents, looking at photo albums together. She also learned that her parents still kept the carnation that Yi gave them when she was a child. While eating, Yi looked at her parents' appearance while eating and suddenly remembered Leon, but she didn't know who Leon was, because Yi chose to live in a happy world. So everyone and things in the real world are gradually being forgotten. At this time, the phone rings. Iya answers the phone. The other person is Leon. Iya has forgotten him. Leon reminds Iya, "You have to remember, only then can we return to reality on our own. I will always wait for you." Iya fell into deep thought. She saw a bunch of mugwort. It was not something her parents gave her, so she stabbed her hand with a pen. This painful feeling finally made her remember Leon. She also realized that her parents here were not real. So Iya endured the pain of saying goodbye with them, and she finally woke up in reality. And Leon was now stuck in the world is desolate and lonely. This is the biggest fear in his heart. Leon knows that Shinju used the life rope. That's why his palm has the word communication, so he can contact Iya. Leon walked for a long time and finally could not find a way out. He was completely disappointed and fell into the desert and closed his eyes. At night, the lady in the blue shirt finally appeared. She heard breathing of Leon was on the brink of death. She mocked Leon. No matter how high or low, you would be possessed by Inmugi and cause chaos in this world. Leon knelt down in front of the blue-clothed lady with all her strength. He confirmed whether Yi had returned home safely or not. She happily told Leon that Yi had gone out. But a second later, Leon laughed again and stood up. It turned out that Leon deliberately jumped into the abyss with the hungry demon to make a miserable appearance. The purpose was to lure the blue-shirted lady to appear. Leon said that this time, "It was my turn to ask you what you was most afraid of. Was after all, if I'm not mistaken, you're dying. No fairy tales were written for you, so you was forgotten and abandoned by humans." The blue-shirted woman was so embarrassed that she became angry. She cursed Leon to live forever in the hell she created. Then, she turned around and left. But her feet were stuck to the ground because this was the world that Leon created. "This is my territory, so I am the owner." Then Leon reached out and grabbed Inmugi through this woman to see Leon's world. Inmugi was extremely angry and used all strength to push Leon's hand away. But Leon took a button. Leon told Inmugi, "I will go catch you soon. Just wait." The next day, Yi was on her way to work when it rained. She looked ahead and saw an embroidered umbrella, red flowers, and the person she was longing for was Leon. The two kissed in the rain. This mummy was hidden in a wall. The mummy's right hand stretched forward, eyes wide with fear and mouth open loud. All of this shows that this person was scared to death. The two police policemen were dumbfounded. Based on the clothes, the mummy was wearing modern clothes, so it was definitely not a body from ancient times. Who is the culprit? It turns out all of this is related to Inmugi. Inmugi is ambitious and wants to replace Leon's nine-tailed fox as the mountain god and marry Leon's first love, Aom, then reach the pinnacle of life. Previously, Aom used Gingo to confess her love to Leon, but was coldly rejected by him because the lifespan of humans and fairies is too big. But Leon didn't want to end up alone in this world after falling in love, until Leon goes down the mountain to punish the monster that harasses humans. Because the mountain god left mountain, the divine power will gradually weaken, so he was seriously injured. The villagers also discovered that he was a nine-tailed fox. Luckily, Aom appeared in time to help Leon escape the pursuit of the villagers. The two of them were now together, but Inmugi wanted to take advantage of the feelings between the two, then possessed Aom and pretended to be Aom's appearance was to deceive Leon. Then when Leon was not paying attention, she grabbed the sword and was about to stab him straight in the heart. At this moment, Aom had awakened and immediately threw down the sword. Aom looked at her hands were covered in the blood of innocent people, because in order not to kill innocent people and harm Leon, Aom used the gratitude contract when she saved Leon to tell him to kill her. Because of the fox, there is a favor that must be reported, only to see the contract ring gradually disappear. Leon's hand grows fox claws, he cannot control it and stabs straight into Aom's heart, and at the same time Inmugi also disappears. Now, Inmugi has been revived. It has eaten countless people to be able to reform its body. This mummy is one of the conductors. Aum has now transformed into Ya. Leon dissolving the honey fruit in the mountain he once ruled. He decided not to dwell on the past anymore. He and Ya lived well in the present life, then had to deal with Inmugi. Leon and Ya went two ways to find their teammates. Leon took the azalea flower to look for Li Rang, because last time in the Hungry Ghost Forest, he said he missed the azalea flowers in the forest the most. But Li Rang didn't at home, because a few minutes ago Harryom came and took Li Rang away. This guy saw that Li Rang's face was too poor, so told him to eat the lantern fruit, using human souls to nourish. Unexpectedly, Li Rang refused, because Li Rang was seriously injured in the Hungry Ghost Forest, so his life was about to end. That year when Li Rang was punished by Leon with a sword, because this guy used a lantern to save his life, because the fox owes a favor and must repay it. There was also a contract between these two people. This guy asked Li Rang to bring Li Yun out within 2 days so that he could cancel the contract of gratitude. But Yi Ah on this side held a glass made of tiger eyebrows and handed it to the screenwriter and assistant to see their past life, thereby attracting them to her team. In previous life, 2 of them were a palace maid and a eunuch, because Aum's father had to come to protect Aum, who was living outside the palace. The 3 of you grew up together. This story is so mythical that the 2 of them are dumbfounded. But Yi Ah learned that Leon was a 9-tailed fox. Everything happened so suddenly that they needed time to calm down. The next day, Yia's company had a new employee, is Inmugi. He takes the name Terry and becomes Yia's intern. This person works with her on a program about mummies. The scene moves to the morgue in the police station. Yia discovers her finger. The mummy lost a fake nail. Yia immediately remembered that when she was at the boss's house, she picked up a fake nail, so she immediately returned to the company. She took the fake nail to confront the boss. But at this moment in the mirror, behind Ya, on his forehead, were written the 2 words, Chi Kin. At the same time Leon came to Inmugi, a terrible disaster was about to explode. What exactly was going on? People began to unconsciously seek death on his own. This woman's eyes were dull, then climbed up to the rooftop and jumped down. This female student ignored the cars that crossed the street at the red light, and this old man picked up a can of pesticide and drank it all. The black shirt quickly ran to stop this man. He used magic to run to save the woman who was about to jump down. At the moment the car was about to hit the female student, he promptly hugged her. That way he could avoid. But no matter how powerful he was, he couldn't save everyone. In one moment, 132 people lost their lives. But the culprit who caused this is the gang in front of Leon. He is Inmugi. Leon came to capture Inmugi 10 minutes ago. Leon pulled out his sword and stabbed Inmug. He kept going through space to the area where no people. As a result, it is impossible to kill Inmugi with a sword. At most, it will only leave a hole. So the 2 of them fought while traveling through space, hitting from the top and hitting the ground. Then went into the last elevator, arriving at the rooftop. Imugi told Leon that his younger brother, Ya, and Ya's parents were all in my hands. If you was willing to hand over your body, I could spare them. Leon says that he doesn't deal with Inmugi and that he will find them on his own, so the 2 of them will fight again through space to a road. Leon uses the mountain god's divine power to appear yellow fox eyes, creating thunder and lightning, and the dark clouds tried to scare Inmugi. But unexpectedly he said, I want to die right now. A second later, someone jumped down from above. Then other people also started jumping down unconsciously. story. At the same time, Yi discovered the inscription on the boss's forehead. He was the murderer who murdered her parents. The boss gave Yi the carnation that Yi once gave to her parents and wrote on the back, "Yi, why don't you come and save us?" Then he said, "As long as you hand over Leon, I will return your parents to you." Moreover, he gave her a vial of anesthesia used to anesthetize Leon. Whether Yi harmed Leon. At this time, Leon came to Tailupa and wanted to ask a few things, but Tailupa saw that this was Li Rang impersonating Li Rang. Li Rang wanted to know how to dissolve the contract. Tailupa said that only when Li Rang dies can the contract be dissolved. But Hin Weong told Li Rang not to think about canceling the contract, but to gather all the troubles at once and remove them. Don't forget, all contracts have their price. At this time, Yuri went to the veterinary hospital because Li Rang was about to die. She went to complain to Shinju. Shinju said that his family member had been attacked by humans killed, so he madly took revenge on humans. This made the mountain god angry, so he hid in Li Yun's territory and was protected by the domineering Li Yun. Later, he decided to go to medicine. Yuri immediately sympathized and wanted to sleep with Shinju. This is considered a couple, right? At night, Li Yun gave Yi a pair of sneakers, which was Yi's wish. Li Yun changed Yi's shoes and went for a walk together. Yi handed the anesthesia to Li Yun and told him everything. She said that she wanted to solve the difficulties ahead with him, but Li Rang on this side made a person give it to Haryong. What exactly was this about? Li Rang finally knew how the human soul was made into a lantern ball. When witnessing Haryong do it, this is a magical seed that can imprison the body and soul of humans. This is the lantern ball researched by Inmugi to imprison holds the human soul. It is used to maintain life. Let's see specifically how. Haryong put the seed into the mouth of a man in a coma. A second later, the man's mouth radiated a puff of black smoke. Then his body immediately turned into black smoke that was sucked inside the seed and turned into a lantern ball. Then Haryong slowly picked it up and inhaled it directly inside his body, so he could live for at least another 50 years, and at the same time have the man's memories. And he discovered that Li Rang had saved that man's son, and before that Li Rang met the boy, is the reincarnation of a little dog that was being abused by his stepfather. So Li Rang knocked him out and went to Haryong. This is the retribution for doing bad things. Now the time Haryong gives Li Rang, there are still 24 hours left. He said that Leon saved him just to save Yi. It was all just an act. He would forever be just a tool. These words made Li Rang start to waver. At this moment, Leon gave Yi went to find Tailupa. Yi used Inmugi's capture as a condition in exchange for her parents' whereabouts. Tailupa talked privately with Leon. She said that either he saves Yi or Yi dies, or it was Inmugi who took the initiative to leave her body. So Tailupa always reminded Leon not to see Yi again. But Leon still chose to protect Yi, so Tailupa could only tell his parents Yi in the lantern. Leon immediately called Li Rang to locate the lantern tree in Inmugi's servant's house. Li Rang was extremely upset. Why did Leon only care about Yi without paying any attention to him? So he decided to meet Leon the next day. He helped Haryong get Leon's body. Haryong also gave him a bottle of anesthetic. The next day, Leon went to the rendezvous point to meet Li Rang. While Leon wasn't paying attention, Li Rang put an anesthetic in his coffee cup before Leon drank the coffee. Li Rang asked what he wanted to ask for a long time. "What exactly are you to me?" Leon was not happy, but still replied, "You are my relative." Moreover, he deliberately provoked Li Rang. He said, Yi also had a tragic family background like Li Rang, but she never harmed others like Li Rang. This statement really hurts people. Li Rang without hesitation watched Leon drink a cup of coffee containing anesthetic. All of these things were observed by Haryong. A moment later, Li Rang picked up a flower vase and hit Leon on the head, then took out a bottle of anesthetic. Leon was extremely surprised. His younger brother wanted to kill him, after which he immediately fell into a coma, confirming Leon was actually in a coma. Haryong called Inmugi to inform, and Inmugi was currently having a welcome party with Yi and colleagues. He wanted to leave, but Yi used that as not being polite. She advised him to go back to the party, waiting until evening when Inmugi still hadn't arrived. Li Rang couldn't wait anymore, so he told Haryong to dissolve the contract immediately, but he insisted on waiting for Inmugi to arrive. Li Rang cursed Haryong. "You was truly a born slave. Without Master Inmugi, you couldn't do anything." An angry Haryong immediately took a dagger and stabbed Leon's heart, resulting in Li Rang kicking him. Then Li Rang transformed into Leon's appearance, while Leon lying on the ground transformed into Li Rang. It turned out that Li Rang had received a phone call from Leon the night before. While he was drinking at the bar, he met Leon. Because Leon knew about the dissolution of the contract, he told Li Rang that they must survive together, so he told that the two of them swapped identities. Leon became Li Rang, went to Haryong's house to get the anesthetic. Haryong was extremely angry and picked up a dagger to kill Leon, but he stabbed this guy back. Leon strangled Haryong Haeryong and asked him to dissolve the gratitude contract. Lee Rang will forgive him. Lee Rang pulled Lee Yun's hand away. At this time, Haeryong's life was about to run out. He asked Lee Rang to take him to the lantern. This time, Lee Rang had returned the favor to Haeryong and had also dissolved the contract. Ia, on this side, when the party ended, she received a photo that Lee Yun sent. She immediately turned to Inmugi and said that he was only an enemy to her who harmed her parents. It turned out that Ia was also a part of in the plan. Her mission was to use every means to keep Inmugi from leaving, because Ia's body had snake scales, so Inmugi couldn't kill her. So Lee Yun let Ia held Inmugi's feet, but after Inmugi knew, he didn't get angry, but instead smiled. He held Ia's hand and kissed her hand and told Ia, "I like you." Ia was scared and quickly ran home. Seeing Lee Yun standing in front of the door, she immediately ran to hug him. After the two entered Ia's house and saw her parents safe and sound appearing in front of her, Ia immediately ran to hug her parents. Now, Ia overcame all the difficulties, finally can reunite with her parents. In ancient times there was ginseng fruit. Eating one fruit could live 47,000 years. Now, there is the lantern tree. Eating one fruit can prolonging the life of up to 50 years. The lantern fruit is the human soul and can also save the lives of seriously ill or seriously injured people. Once picked, it must be eaten immediately, otherwise it will be like the girl. Picking the lantern fruit caused it to lose nutrients. Then it quickly disappeared. By the time she got home, there was only nothing left. The woman wanted to use the lantern to save the man lying in front, is Lee Rang. But the paradox is that Lee Rang was harmed by her. Let's see what happened at that time. This came from Inmugi's revenge. Lee Yun and Lee Rang swapped bodies, causing made Inmugi's servant think that Lee Yun had fallen into a coma. This person intended to cut out the heart of Lee Yun, a 1,000-year-old nine-tailed fox and mountain god. The purpose was for Inmugi to easily take over the mountain and truly became a god, but unexpectedly he failed. Lee Yun saved Ia's parents in the lantern bowls. To express gratitude, Ia's parents invited Lee Yun to come to their house for dinner. Ia dreamed in the middle of the night. She appeared again in Inmugi's house and also saw that fake nail. Ia wanted to leave, but her feet were held back. Ia turned around and saw the mummy buried in the wall. So Ia quickly ran into a room and locked the door. Unexpectedly, she had just escaped the tiger's den and then crawled into the snake's den. This was Inmugi's room. Ia asked Inmugi how he had brought her here. Inmugi said, "It was obviously because you woke me up." At this time, Ia's face appeared extremely scary snake scales. The next day, Inmugi carried an injured cat to Shinju for treatment. While he was not paying attention, Inmugi cast a spell. Shinju, as long as Inmugi is in Ia body calling Shinjo, he will have to obey Inmugi. Inmugi also used a spell on Bakeja, the owner of the Snail Bride restaurant. Only Yuri was different. Inmugi intentionally bumped into her and said that really wanted to kill Lee Rang. Yuri's eyes became lifeless and went to Lee Rang's house. Without saying a word, she took out her hairpin and stabbed Lee Rang in the chest, just like that. Lee Rang trained her, "Grab this guy neck. Every time you stab this guy, you stabbed in a dangerous place." Lee Rang was seriously injured and fell to the ground at this time. Yuri regained consciousness. Lee Yun had just eaten dinner with Ia's father and was at the cafe. Her parents had already met, so Lee Yun immediately talked about marriage. Unexpectedly, Ia had prepared the wedding ring in advance, then immediately put it on the two people's hands. The scene moved to Yuri. She found Shinju to save Lee Rang. Lee Yun, after learning about it, immediately ran to Lee Rang's house. Lee Yun understood that this was Inmugi taking revenge on him. Protecting Ia would mean losing Lee Rang. Shinju was also helpless. He said that only the lantern ball could save Lee Rang. Lee Rang and Lee Yun do not agree, because each lantern ball is a human life. It turns out that Inmugi wants Lee Yun to use the lantern ball to save Lee Rang. Then Lee Yun will violate the taboo, will have to go to hell to be punished. Then he will not be able to protect Ia. Lee Yun said that he will use his own way to save Lee Rang. He must capture Inmugi first. Yuri does not care. She went to Leon's house and stole 6 lanterns bowl. As a result, these lanterns had no nutrients and immediately disappeared. While Leon was on this side, he used the lanterns as a condition to lure Haeryong. Tells how to destroy Inmugi. Haeryong said that Inmugi never died. He only fell into a deep sleep state. Like the way to awaken Inmugi, first there must be water, the body of a living person, and the blood of a sacrifice, and finally, the power of the mountain god. Similar to how he awakened Inmugi at the well, Leon used the power of the mountain god to call lightning and those missing fishermen, all of whom became conductors to revive Inmugi. Leon knew the answer immediately, gave the lantern ball to Haeryong. He returned and told Hyun Uyong to take the lantern back and release the people inside, but the plan could not keep up with the changes. Leon hadn't even started to take action when he turned to Yia. Last time he said, "I want to die right now," immediately causing one person to jump from the building. This time he used the same method, making 2 people, a man and a woman, stand at the edge of the rooftop is about to jump down. This is a hint curse. The person who is hit by this curse will have his nervous system controlled and must listen to the opponent's arrangements. Inmugi live streamed the scene of two people at the edge rooftop and forced Yi-Ah to wear the outfit he gave her to go on a date with him. Otherwise, he would make the two of them jump off. Yi-Ah had no choice but to wear a black outfit and go to the meeting point. Inmugi's purpose for doing so is to want Yi-Ah to help him find what he really wants. Actually, Inmugi was born as a human, but his arms and legs evolved to look like snakes. Ears, both eyes and voice have problems. His father thought he was a monster, so he threw him among the people infected with the disease. In the end, he was eaten by those people. Then Inmugi turned into a white snake and crawled out of the people's graves, suffering from a plague. People call it a python and are considered a bad omen. So what Inmugi wants is to be respected by everyone. Inmugi asks Yi-Ah to help him win people's respect, or else he will kill Leon and the people Yi-Ah loves. Moreover, kill Yi-Ah and spread the plague to the whole world. Yi-Ah did not answer immediately, but delayed the time until the evening when she walking with Inmugi in the park. She refused him. Inmugi was so embarrassed that he became angry and grabbed Yi-Ah's shoulder. At this moment, he was pushed away by Leon. Inmugi took out his phone and said, "I want to fly." The playwright and his assistant immediately stepped forward. At the critical moment, Shinju hugged the two people. It turned out that this was Yi-Ah's plan. She wanted to destroy the grass completely and directly capture Inmugi. Yi-Ah was in charge of prolonging the time. During that time, Leon was in charge of letting Shinju use the fox's sharp sense of smell to find the screenwriter and assistant. Leon used his hand that was stained with horse blood to push Inmugi into a puddle of water. Inmugi was afraid of horse blood, but water could holding Inmugi's feet, adding Yi-Ah's blood. Then Leon used the power of the mountain god to call lightning and strike straight at Inmugi, but unexpectedly, Inmugi was not harmed at all. On the contrary, Yi-Ah's body was hot. Didn't expect that Yi-Ah was Inmugi's body, and the man in front of me was just a clone. The two are closely related to each other, so all damage will show up on Yi-Ah's body, and the thunder just awakened Inmugi in Yi-Ah's body. He told Leon, "If you had thrown Yi-Ah into the well of sacrifice for me at the beginning, Yi-Ah and I would have become one a long time ago. I will not be divided into two people. Now I just need to merge into you to make my soul and body become one." Inmugi relied on Yi-Ah's body, so Leon certainly wouldn't dare to show his hand, so he frantically hit Leon but was still caught by Leon. Leon discovered that the original Inmugi was very weak because all magic power is on his clone. In the main body there is only Inmugi's heart. At that moment, Inmugi was so embarrassed that he became angry and pulled out an iron stake, so he stabbed it straight into Leon's heart. He forced Leon to hand over body for him. Leon held Yi-Ah's hand and called her back. "I will always be by your side. Even if I die, I will still be yours." Human love can always break down all barriers. Eyes. Yi-Ah gradually softened again. Yi-Ah finally returned. She was like that year asking Leon to kill her, but Leon absolutely would not follow the same path. Then, Leon sends Shinju to inform Bakeja to find the fortune teller who stole Ye's fox jade. After Inmugi's clone left, he was extremely angry, immediately made Haeryong pat his head and recite the spell, hoping that life is like hell, everything you breathe in. Right after, there were many red spots on Haeryong's forehead. Inmugi told him to go to the police station to surrender, and a terrible disaster was about to strike humanity. This man suddenly had many spots appearing on his legs. A second later, the man fell to the ground. The people next to him immediately inhaled artificial respiration, causing him to vomit a blood egg. What happened? A few minutes ago, Haeryong followed the curse and went to the police station to surrender. Admitting that he killed the mummy, while talking, he scratched the red spot on his forehead. It turned out that Haeryong had contracted the plague, so the policeman was infected. I guessing that the egg was a snake egg. It was the source of the epidemic. Now the situation was urgent. Tailupa immediately decided to correct Yi-Ah's life and death book. Hasten the day of Yi-Ah's death. Unless Yi-Ah death, Inmugi will be destroyed, but is discovered by Hinoeong. He criticizes her for abusing her position to harm innocent people. Like that year, the year Tailupa's daughter-in-law contracted an infectious disease because Des. In order to prevent the epidemic from spreading, Tailupa changed his daughter-in-law's birth and death book so that she would die early. After Tailupa's son found out, because so pain, he threw himself into the Samdo River forever and could not be reincarnated. So Hinoeong has just left home. The scene shifts to Yi-Ah. She and Leon in the beach villa. After a fun night, she receives a phone call from Inmugi. He reminded her that my soul would soon completely take over your body. At that time, she will not be able to control herself and kill Leon. After Leon brought Yi-Ah home, he also returned home. He saw Li Rang appear in front of him. Li Rang told Leon that it was because Yuri begged Inmugi to save Li Rang, and she volunteered to be his slave. This made Shinju want to kill Inmugi immediately. Leon punched him twice to stop him from doing so. Leon consoling Shinju that he would make sure to save Yuri back. Leon gathered Yi-Ah, Li Rang, Shinju, the screenwriter and assistant, a total of 3 humans and 3 fox foxes to work together to capture Inmugi. Leon said that Iya had found the sword, that is the fortune teller's magic treasure. The fortune teller's true identity was the king of hell, one of the 10 faces of hell, the ruler of hell, and holds human reincarnation, which this sword is a wooden sword made of ancient tree branches, heavy with sins. It can cut Inmugi's soul in Iya's body without causing her to be injured. At this moment, Chief Choi was unconsciously controlled and went to the police station. Seeing the police officer lying fainted on the ground, he immediately ran to give artificial respiration. Inmugi wanted him to be infected in order to infect the people next to Iya. In the evening, Leon arranged the formation in the Snail Bride restaurant. Leon gave Iya a needle and told her to draw blood and summon Inmugi out, because when Inmugi senses danger, he will take over Iya's body. Before Leon succeeds, the others have to wait outside to prevent Inmugi from entering others. Shinju prepares a small python for Inmugi to enter. All preparations are complete. Leon and Iya are locked in a room filled with charms. Before the official start, Leon hugs Iya to relieve tension, and Iya reminds Leon that she is prepared to get injury, so he doesn't let. She hesitated. Leon said that I won't let you get hurt. This sword only cuts Inmugi's soul. Iya suddenly asked if I could cut your soul. Leon replied of course she could. Immediately Iya showed a sinister smile. Then she picked up the sword and stabbed Leon's back. Leon immediately fell to the ground. It turned out that Iya was too nervous just now, so she accidentally caused the ice needle to pierce her hand. So Inmugi's soul was awakened. Inmugi took the opportunity to lift the table and hit Leon, but Leon was still unconscious. It seemed that Leon's soul had really been slashed to died. So Inmugi took out the snake scales from his neck. At the same time, Inmugi's clone also felt pain. Then it put the snake scales it just removed into Leon's mouth. He wanted to take over Leon's body. As a result, at this moment, Leon suddenly woke up. He took snake scales from his mouth into his hand and stood up straight. He taught Inmugi that he had to use snake scales to be able to freely transfer objects to enter. That wooden sword is just a display. The fortune teller only appears when he wants. Leon prepares to put snake scales on the python so that Inmugi can leave Iya's body. But at this moment, Iya's head suddenly hurt violently and then fell into Leon's lap. Inmugi's clone was trying to force Inmugi's soul back to Iya's body. Because he liked Iya, he absolutely did not allow the soul to easily left Iya's body. At this time, Inmugi's clone was walking on the road to spread the disease. When humans touched him, they immediately became infected. And at the same time, Tailupa, on this side, corrected Iya's death date is today. This man is an infectious pathogen. If everyone touch him, they will immediately die. It is even more terrible than COVID. Everyone look at his hands. It is covered by a layer of snake scales. He is the python Inmugi, who was eaten by people infected with the plague, and finally revived in the tombs of infected people. When humans are infected, they will have rashes on their bodies, red spots. The infected person will vomit a snake egg before dying. Inside there is a small snake containing the pathogen. So after the patient dies, the internal organs will look like they were attacked by an evil person. Wanting to eliminate this epidemic, it is necessary to kill Inmugi's soul hiding in Iya's body. Only then can we simultaneously kill Inmugi's clone, who is spreading the disease. Because the soul and the clone are closely linked together, Tailupa is currently editing the Book of Life and Death to hasten Iya's death date. Everyone guesses whether Iya will die. To make it easier to distinguish, we call Inmugi's clone as Terry. In the middle of the night, a truck lost its brakes and was about to crash into a black car that was stopped at a red light. The driver took control the steering wheel and crashed towards Iya, who was crossing the street. Iya screamed and then immediately held her head and knelt down, but there was no collision. Iya turned around to look. It turned out that Hinuiong had stopped the truck. He told Iya about the matter of life and death, but the danger was still always lurking. The next day, Iya's colleague, department head Choi, went to the Snail Bride restaurant to eat. Suddenly, there were red spots all over his body. Bok Haija hugged him from behind and forced him to vomit snake eggs, and another colleague, who is a female screenwriter, and everyone in the company died from the epidemic, so they were also infected. These two people were infected entirely because Iya refused to please Terry, so everyone he took revenge on. This is just the first step in his revenge plan. The next step, Terry went to Iya's parents. Iya received a phone call from Terry, and he said, "I will destroy everything she loved the most," then placed a curse on Iya's parents. At this moment, Iya's parents climbed up on the table and put their necks inside the rope. At the critical moment, Leon appeared and cut the rope so save Iya's parents. Leon came here to cooperate with Terry. Leon came up with a plan that could both fulfill Terry's wish to become a god and save Iya, that is to kill the ruler of the Samdo River is Tailupa, and then let Terry replace her. It turns out that the position of ruler of the Samdo River is the god of the gods, even higher than Leon's position as the mountain god. But Tailupa now uses the method of killing Iya to destroy Inmugi, so if Tailupa dies, Iya will live. Terry thought all all night and decided to cooperate with Leon. But Tailupa has a divine eye that can see everything in the world. And with the blink of an eye, she can turn everything into stone. So Leon told Terry that the plan is to take advantage of time. He overdosed some anesthetic on Tailupa. Then Terry came to kill her. But will Li Yun and Terry really cooperate with each other? At this moment, Li Rang remembered Leon once said he would protect Ia, even if he had to die. So Li Rang decided to make the first move. He went to Inmugi's servant He Ryong, who was locked up in the police station. He prepared to kill Ia to prevent Leon from dying because of Ia. It seems Leon and Terry's cooperation was just a trap. It turned out that Leon's plan was to trick Terry into going to Tailupa. Then he swallowed the snake scales and transferred Inmugi's soul in Ia's body to his body. In the end, he hugged Terry and jumped into the Samdo River, unable to be reborn forever. But Li Yan did not know that Terry had also prepared a trap. This man has lived for more than 600 years and has always relied on eating souls, human soul, to maintain longevity. He used to be Inmugi's servant because he betrayed Inmugi. Inmugi planted the disease in him. Li Rang told Haryong that he killed Ia, and at the same time, Inmugi's soul in his body will be destroyed, so the epidemic will also disappear. So Haryong took a gun and rushed into Li Yan's house and wanted to personally kill Ia, but did not expect the gunfire rang out immediately, awakening Inmugi, because Inmugi will appear when the original is in danger. Immediately afterwards, Inmugi shot and killed Haryong and reached in to take his liver. This scene was seen by assistant. Inmugi gave him gun to the assistant and said, "After counting to 3, if you don't shoot, I will kill you." At this moment, the scriptwriter appeared and slapped Inmugi, finally awakened Ia's consciousness. Ah blames herself for almost killing her colleague. Sooner or later one day she will kill Li Yan, so she went to Li Rang to cooperate. Ia went to Li Rang's house and said that she knew Haryong was sent by Li Rang. Ia took out a gun and said that her and Li Rang's goals were the same. They were not wanted Li Rang to die, so Ia begged Li Rang that if she harms Li Yan, Li Rang should kill her, and Li Yan is here waiting for Terry to fall into a trap and at the same time go on a date with Ia. The two-person went to the amusement park and picked up 2 foxes. At night, Li Yan was called by Tailupa. She gave Li Yan a sword and told him to take the sword to kill Ia. Wait until Ia was dying and Inmugi left Ia's body and then entered Terry's body. At that time, Tailupa would turn Inmugi into stone, but the plan still could not progress as planned. As soon as Li Yan returned home, he saw Ia transformed into Inmugi. A few minutes ago, Terry secretly attacked the governor to get the yin-yang mirror, then went to find Ia to awaken Inmugi. At this time, Shinju, Li Rang, and Ba Keija all came to control Li Yan. In addition, previously all 3 of them were hit by Terry's curse. When Inmugi awakens, the 3 of them will become Inmugi's soldiers. Li Yan is a mountain god after all, so he quickly escaped, causing the 3 of them to regain consciousness. Then they forced Inmugi to go to the Overworld Immigration Office. At the same time, Terry also appeared at the Overworld Immigration Office. Tailupa saw Terry's face and was extremely surprised because his face is identical to her dead son. It turns out Bok Gil was Terry's best friend, but because Terry was jealous of Bok Gil's happy life, he planted the disease in Bok Gil's wife's body, Tailupa, in order to prevent the spread of the disease, so killed their daughter-in-law, which caused Bok Gil to jump into the Samdo River and never be reborn. Tailupa was extremely angry. She wanted to turn Terry into stone, but Terry used a yin and yang mirror, causing the curse to fall on Tailupa. When Li Yan arrived, he opened the white cloth to see that Tailupa had turned into a stone statue. Li Yan immediately pulled out his sword. These 2 people were evenly matched and fought very fiercely. When Terry was in danger, Inmugi immediately stood up to block him. Li Yan saw Ia's face and definitely couldn't take action. So Li Yan was beaten. Inmugi grabbed his neck and kicked him to the ground. At this moment, Inmugi suddenly had a headache. It was Ia who was fighting. Now Inmugi had completely invaded Ia's body. His right cheek had also begun to slowly grow snake scales. Eyes also turned into snake eyes. Li Yan understood that he had to swallow the snake scales right now, causing Inmugi to transfer to him. Otherwise, Ia would be swallowed by Inmugi. But at this moment, Ia suddenly awake. She held a gun pointed at her head to prevent Li Yan from swallowing the snake scales. Ia said goodbye to Li Yan and then pulled the trigger. But Li Yan rushed to stop her, causing the bullet to be shot into the air. Right after, he immediately swallowed the snake scales, causing Inmugi to transfer to his body. Inmugi's dream finally came true. He took over Li Yan's body. At this time, Li Rang ran over, saw this scene, immediately rushed to fight with Terry. But Li Rang was not Terry's opponent, so he was slashed in the leg. At this time, Terry suddenly had a heart attack and then vomited blood. It turned out that Li Yan took advantage of the connection between soul and clone. Before coming here, he ate Primrose. Now it's time to fight to the death. Li Yan took the right opportunity to run rushed to hug Terry, then threw his sword to Li Rang. He ordered Li Rang to stab himself and Terry to death. The Samdo River door opened. Li Yun vomited blood and immediately turned into the appearance of Inmugi. He begged Li Rang to kill him. He didn't want to be turned into Inmugi before he died. Li Rang was extremely miserable, but he could only use his sword to stab Li Yun and Terry. Iya immediately ran over. Li Yun looked at Iya, then stepped back step by step and finally said, "I love you." Then he hugged Terry and jumped into the Samdo River. In the end, leaving only the toy fox behind. Then the plague disappeared. The human body returned to its normal state. Tailupa also returned to normal. Hyunwoo returning to the afterlife immigration office. Everything is back to normal. But is Li Yun really dead? This man's eyes were white 1 second ago, but the next second, they were returning to normal. He is the king of hell, in charge of hell. Moreover, he also has a golden finger that decides the fate of human reincarnation, such as rich children, celebrities, or beggars. And stealing is all due to the blessings and sins that people created in their previous lives to determine their fate after reincarnation. This time, he appeared in front of Yi and Li Rang, preparing to revive Li Yun from when Li Yun and Terry jumped into the Samdo River. Yi and Li Rang. One went looking for Tailupa to find a way to revive Li Yun. The other stayed at home to drink alcohol to soothe his sorrows. Tailupa told Yi that there was no way to revive Li Yun, but Li Rang received a video that Li Yun recorded for him. In the video, Li Yun said that he had never abandoned Li Rang. Li Yun hoped that Li Rang would not be like before, to arbitrarily let go of himself and have to protect the people around him. Yi also received Li Yun's birthday gift for her, which was a white wedding dress and also a letter. In the letter, Li Yun wrote, "No matter who you marry in the future, I hope it will be a good person. The path between the two of you now only leaves you alone, but I believe that you can do it, so please let me go." Yi used tragedy to transform to motivation. She used the camera to film Li Rang, Shinju, Hyunwoo, and Ba Keja, people related to Li Yun, and also recorded the scene where Shinju proposed to Yuri. Yi always thought that one day Li Yun would see it. That day, Yi and Li Rang in the park met the king of hell, is the fortune teller who took away the jade fox from Yi's body. It turned out that Tailupa connected the dangerous wire to his life, so he came to help revive Li Yun, but still had to follow the old rules. He asked Yi and Li Rang to use the thing they treasured the most to exchange for the opportunity to revive Li Yun, then turned the hourglass upside down. Yi without hesitation said to use her life in exchange. Use life in exchange for life. Li Rang immediately stood up. You thought that Li Yun saved you because he let you give up your life like that. So Li Rang decided to use his life in exchange. At this time, the hourglass had not run out yet. Li Rang told Yi to call Shinju. Yuri and the boy came to say goodbye. The result was a joke of fate. At the moment, the hourglass was about to run out. Yuri and everyone came running. Li Rang looked at them from afar, then immediately disappeared, leaving only the phone with the screen showing a photo of Shinju and Yuri, the boy and him. Then Li Rang's grave was placed in the mountain where Li Yun was the mountain god. The next day, when Yi got off work, it was raining heavily outside. The security guard gave Yi an umbrella embroidered with red flowers and said that 5 minutes ago, someone brought it. Yi's heart began to tense. She immediately ran out into the street to look for a familiar figure. At this moment at an intersection, Yi finally saw the person she loved. The two hugged each other tightly, but even though Li Yun was revived, he turned back into a human. He was no longer a nine-tailed fox. After Li Yun returned, Yi brought back the video she had recorded for Li Yun watched, found out that Shinju and Yuri were married, so he personally came to congratulate. Shinju immediately rushed to hugging and crying with joy. Then Shinju gave Li Rang's video for Li Yun. In the last video, Li Rang also called brother. He hoped to see Li Yun again. Then Li Yun visited Li Rang's grave. Finally, he and Tailupa had a meal family. Now Li Yun and Yi have overcome all difficulties to reach happiness. Two people standing in a forest of flowers, one wearing a wedding dress and one wearing a groom's outfit, saying the most beautiful vows together. The two lovers finally came together and became husband and wife. After the wedding, Li Yun lived a leisurely life in the park, enjoying the beautiful scenery. Suddenly, a boy riding a bicycle fell, and Li Yun helped him. The boy woke up, and he discovered that the boy looked exactly like Li Ran when was young. It seemed like this boy was a reincarnation of Li Ran. Li Yun's regret also subsided somewhat. Li Yun went to pick Yi up from work. Yi said that today she met an old man wearing a mask and couldn't even take it off, like it was stuck to his face. Li Yun explained to Yi that this guy was wearing a mask is the 3 disasters. Every 9 years, bad luck will come to people. And today, Yi was also very unlucky when she stepped on a patch of gum. In the evening, when Yi was asleep, Li Yun took the red flower embroidered umbrella to look for the 3 disasters. He turns the umbrella into a sword, revealing fox eyes. He finds a fox and shows a sinister smile. The entire content of the movie, Tale of the Nine-Tailed, comes to an end. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye, and see you again.